Hi everyone, welcome back to Social Studies for this week. We have talked about symbols a lot and what those symbols represent here in the United States of America. We've talked about American values and beliefs, the American flag, the Pledge of Allegiance, the national anthem, the White House, and today we will be talking about the Statue of Liberty and Lady Justice a little bit. So let's look at our passage here. I'm going to start at the very top. If you would like to follow along on a Studies Weekly newspaper, you can do that, or you can follow along with me here. The Statue of Liberty is a symbol that stands for freedom. The Statue of Liberty was given to the United States by the country of France. It was a gift to the United States on the 100th birthday of the Declaration of Independence. It represents the people seeking better lives in America. So let's look at here. I have the Declaration of Independence highlighted. What does the Declaration of Independence mean? Or what is the Declaration of Independence? Think about that for a moment. So the Declaration of Independence was a document written by the colonists in the 13 colonies saying that they no longer wanted to be under British rule. They wanted to be free. So they sent this Declaration of Independence saying, we are separating from you. We no longer want to be with you, to the king. And by doing that, do you think they made the king very happy? No, I think the king was probably pretty upset that the colonists were trying to leave. But that was the first step in us becoming a new nation and us becoming the United States of America. So in our picture here, we have the Statue of Liberty, which is our green statue. It is very, very large. It's so large that if you look at the crown up here, if you go up in the Statue of Liberty, these are windows that you can be standing and looking out of. So she is a huge, huge statue. It doesn't look that big on the picture, but it is a huge statue. On the other side here, we have our Lady Justice. So let's talk about her for a little bit. Lady Justice is another symbol of our nation. Statues of Lady Justice are commonly seen at courthouses and legal buildings. The statue symbolizes fair and equal treatment for all people. Lady Justice holds a balanced scale in one hand. The scale symbolizes judgment. She holds a sword in the other hand. The sword symbolizes power. Lady Justice wears a blindfold. Her blindfold symbolizes treating all people without biases. So if we look at her picture here, we have the scale in one hand, a sword in another hand, and her blindfold across her eyes. So Lady Justice, those statues are typically found in front of courthouses, meaning that if you are going into the courthouse to be judged on something, maybe somebody that you know has broken the law and they had to go into a courthouse to be judged for that. Lady Justice is a symbol saying that whoever comes in to be judged is not going to have any biases against them, meaning they cannot be judged on the color of their skin. They cannot be judged on if they are a boy or a girl. They cannot be judged on their age or judged on anything else. They are able to come in and have a fair trial. All right. We're going to continue talking about the Statue of Liberty, which again is our green statue right here. We're going to continue talking about our Statue of Liberty. I have another short reading here, but we're going to go over some vocabulary before we get into that reading. So let's look at our first word is symbol. Symbol is something that stands for or represents something else. Reassemble means putting something back together. Oxidation. This is a tricky word. Oxidation is a chemical reaction that occurs when something like copper combines with oxygen. Liberty means that you are free. Enlightenment means that you are giving someone more or new information about a subject. Inscribed means to carve words into something. Victory means that you have defeated someone or something. And ferry is a boat that is used to take people short distances. So this is our passage that we're going to read together here. As we go through, please follow along with me. I will be highlighting important details as we go. So this is called the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is located on Liberty Island in the New York Harbor. It's located in New York, New York. Have you ever been to New York before? If you have, maybe you've seen the Statue of Liberty before. And if you haven't, it's a pretty cool city. If you ever get the chance to go, it would be an awesome experience. The Statue of Liberty was a birthday present to the United States from France in 1884. The Statue of Liberty was built as a symbol of American freedom. The statue was built in France, taken apart, shipped across the Atlantic Ocean, and reassembled in the United States. So think about that. The Statue of Liberty was so big that it had to be broken into parts after it was built in France. It had to be taken apart. Each of those parts were put on big boats. They were shipped across the Atlantic Ocean, and then when it got back to the United States, they put those pieces back together. The Statue of Liberty, also called Lady Liberty, was designed by French sculptor Frederic Bartholdi. Lady Liberty stands 300 feet tall from the ground to the top of her torch. She is made of copper. Her green color comes from oxidation of the copper. So, what color is copper? Copper is more kind of like this color. It's more of a brownish, like a penny is a copper color. But our Statue of Liberty, we saw she's more of a green color, right? So she was this copper color, but she turned to this greenish color because the mixture of the rain and the air turned the Statue of Liberty that green color that we see it as it is today. Lady Liberty holds a torch in one hand to represent the values of liberty and enlightenment, and she holds a tablet in her other hand. The tablet is inscribed with the date of the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776. Her crown has 7 spikes. You can look at each of these spikes right here. Has 7 spikes that represent the 7 seas and 7 continents. At her feet, you will find a broken chair. The broken chair represents the struggle for freedom, which ended in victory. Every year, millions of people take a ferry, which is a boat, over to Liberty Island to visit the statue. Many visitors climb the 354 steps to look out of one of the 25 windows located in her crown. So again, let's zoom in here. If you were to climb all the way up the Statue of Liberty, these tiny windows, these tiny, tiny black dots could represent our windows. That is how large the Statue of Liberty is. Now that we have completed our reading, let's go ahead and go through some of our questions here. For Statue of Liberty, oops, let me erase that. First question, and you can go ahead and follow along with me. If you want to pause the video right now, though, pause the video, read through the questions, and see if you can answer them before I go over the answers. So pause the video right now, and then hit play when you're ready with all of your answers. All right, hopefully you have paused the video and you know all the answers, or you at least tried to know the answers. We're going to go over these together. What is the main idea of this passage? Is it President Taft, a torch, the Statue of Liberty, or France? You said the Statue of Liberty. You would be correct. Number 2, where is the Statue of Liberty located? New York, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., or Massachusetts? If you don't know, you can go back into this reading here. Let's look. Oh, it was one of my highlighted sections. It is located in New York, New York. Who sent the Statue of Liberty to the U.S. as a gift? That was also back in our reading. France did. What does Lady Liberty hold in her hand? Look at her picture right here. What is she holding in her hand here? What is she holding? To me, that looks like a torch and a tablet. On her tablet, what is the date that is inscribed? Inscribed means written. What is the date inscribed on the tablet? July 4th, 1776. That is our Independence Day. And lastly, what does the torch represent? It was back on our reading. It represents liberty and enlightenment. Awesome. Great job following along on this video here. You have one short video to watch after this, and then please go in and answer the discussion board that is related to this post. Don't forget you have a quiz in social studies tomorrow. Be studying and be preparing to take that test. Have a great day, everyone.